Hi all my dear students, I am your educator Amit Ajmani and I welcome you all to the next session of Shri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. Now students, in the previous class we have completed up the chapter Magnetic Effects of Electric Current, and as always we will be just taking up the question answers from these topics of magnetic effects of electric current. I hope you have gone through the chapter and you are all ready for the questions. Please try to keep a register and a pen with you. Wherever you will find any new question, you may note it down. Let us come to the first question. Now the first question says that magnetic effect of current was discovered by. The various options given to us are: first option is Oersted, second is Faraday, third one is Bohr, and fourth one is Ampere. So it was Oersted who firstly discovered, while he was doing his experimentation with a straight current carrying conductor, and he observed for the very first time that the current produces magnetic field. So the answer is A, Oersted. Coming to the next question. Inside the magnet, the magnetic field line moves. Now we are talking about inside the magnet. We know that in a magnet, the magnetic field always they move from north to south outside the magnet, and inside they are from south to the north pole. So the answer will be B, from south to north inside the magnet. So B is the right answer. Let's see the third question. Relative strength of magnetic field at a point in the space surrounding the magnet is shown by. Relative strength of magnetic field at any point is shown by, the options given to us are: the length of the magnet, the thickness of the magnet, the degree of closeness of the field, or the resistance offered by the surroundings. We know that the relative strength at any point in the space is shown by the degree of closeness of the magnetic field lines. Wherever the magnetic field lines are closer to each other, there the magnetic field will be stronger. So the correct answer is C. Let's come to the fourth question. Which of the following statement is not correct about the magnetic field? So there are four statements given to us. We need to see which one of these is the incorrect statement. Let us read. Magnetic field lines form a continuous closed curve. This is a true statement because magnetic field lines are curved lines. So the first statement is true. Second statement, let us see. Magnetic field lines do not intersect each other. This is also a true statement. No two magnetic field lines intersect each other. Third statement is direction of tangent at any point on the magnetic field line curve gives the direction of magnetic field at that point. Again, this is a true statement because whenever we put a compass at any magnetic field line, its pointer is always tangential. Fourth is, outside the magnet, magnetic field lines go from south to north pole of the magnet. Now this is a wrong statement. Why? Because outside the magnetic field lines always go from north to south. Inside they go from south to north, not outside. So because D is the incorrect statement, therefore it is our correct option. So the answer is D. Next, by which instrument the presence of magnetic field be determined? Which instrument is used to detect or determine the presence of magnetic field? First option is generator, second option is ammeter, third is galvanometer, and fourth is magnetic compass. So what is the answer? The answer is D. Magnetic compass is used to determine the presence of magnetic field. Coming to the next question. The pattern of the magnetic field produced by straight current carrying conducting wire is, the four options are in the direction opposite to the current, or in the direction parallel to the wire, or circular around the wire, or in the same direction of current. The answer is C. Whenever a magnetic field is produced around a straight current carrying conductor, it is always in the form of concentric circles, right? So the answer is option number C. Coming to the next question, the strength of magnetic field around a current carrying conductor is, let us see, is it inversely proportional to the current but directly proportional to the square of the distance from the wire? Second option is, it is directly proportional to the current and inversely proportional to the distance from the wire. Third option is directly proportional to the distance and inversely proportional to the current. Fourth option is directly proportional to the current but inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the wire. Which one is the correct option? The correct option is option number B. The strength of magnetic field is directly proportional to the current. More the current, stronger will be the magnetic field. And it is inversely proportional to the distance from the wire. More is the distance of the wire, weaker will be the magnetic field. Clear? So B is the right option that we are going to mark for question number 7. Let's see what question number 8 is asking. In question number 8, let's read it. A current through a horizontal power line flows from south to north direction. There is a horizontal power line and the current is flowing from south to north direction. The direction of magnetic field 0.5 meter above it is. We have to find the direction of magnetic field at a point above this power line. So what will be the direction of this magnetic field? Four options are the four directions: north, south, east, west and east. The answer is it will be towards north, right? The answer will be option number A. Coming to the question number 9, the nature of magnetic field line passing through the center of current carrying loop is. Now if there is a current carrying loop which is circular, so what will be the nature of magnetic field lines passing through the center? Four options are, option number A is circular, option number B is ellipse, option number C is parabolic, and option number D is straight line. When we are talking about the center, then the magnetic field line will be a straight line. So option number D is the option we are going to mark. Let's see the next question. A DC generator works on the principle of. Let's see the options. Ohm's law, Joule's law of heating, Faraday law of electromagnetic induction, or none of the above? It is option number C, the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Right? So a DC generator works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Coming to the next question, the factors on which one magnetic field strength produced by current carrying solenoid depends are, it should not be one, the factors on which the magnetic field strength produced by current carrying solenoid. Now what were the various factors? Let us see. Is it the magnitude of current? Yes. The magnetic field strength is directly proportional to the magnitude of current. Let's see the second option. Is it the number of turns? Yes, even the number of turns also decide the strength of the magnetic field. More the number of turns, stronger will be the magnetic field. And nature of core material also is a factor, because if we will take the core material of soft iron, the magnetic field will be strongest. So we will mark the option all of the above. All these are the factors which decide the strength of the magnetic field produced by a current carrying solenoid. Clear? Coming to the next question. A soft iron bar is introduced inside the current carrying solenoid. The magnetic field inside the solenoid will decrease, will remain the same, will increase, or will become zero. Just in the above question, I have told you in the topic nature of core material that if soft iron bar is taken as a core material, the magnetism will be strongest. It will increase. So that is why we will mark option number C. Clear? Let's see the next question. The direction of the force on a current carrying wire placed in a magnetic field depends on the direction of force. Let us see the options. The first option is it depends on the direction of the current but not on the direction of field. Second option is the direction of field but not on the direction of current. Third option is the direction of current as well as direction of field. And fourth, neither the direction of current nor the direction of field. Out of these, option number C is the correct option. Just in order to confirm, you can simply relate the Fleming's left-hand rule, that the force which is acting on a current carrying wire placed in a magnetic field, the direction of such force is dependent on the direction of current as well as the direction of the field. Let's see the next question. A positive charge is moving upwards in a magnetic field directed towards north. Now the charge is moving upward. That means the force is acting in the upward direction. And magnetic field is directed towards north. Right? The particle will be deflected towards. Now if the positive charge is moving upward in a magnetic field which is directed towards north, then the force will act in which direction? So if we try to apply the Fleming's left-hand rule, in that case we will take the positive charge direction to be the direction of current. Magnetic field is going from south to north, and just relate the position of your thumb. Wherever your thumb is showing, It will be the direction of the deflection, and you will find that it will be going towards the west direction. Please try to relate and apply the Fleming's left hand rule in order to find the direction of force in this case. Next question is, which of the following factors affect the strength of force experienced by a current carrying conductor in a uniform magnetic field? Let us see. Is it the magnetic field strength? Is it the magnitude of current in a conductor? Or the length of the conductor within the magnetic field? Or all of above? So if you try to relate, these all factors affect the strength of force. Whether it is the magnetic field as to how strong the field is, then it is the magnitude or the amount of current, or it is the length of the conductor. We have seen the formula F is equal to B into I into L. So all these factors will affect the strength of force experienced by a current carrying conductor in a uniform magnetic field. Fine. So the answer is option number D. Coming to the next question. Direction of rotation of a coil in electric motor is determined by, is it the Fleming's right hand rule, or the Fleming's left hand rule, or the Faraday law of electromagnetic induction, or none of the above? If we are talking about the direction of rotation of a coil in an electric motor, it will be determined by Fleming's left hand rule, which tells us the direction of force or the direction of motion. So B is the right answer. Coming to the next question. In electric motor, to make the coil rotating continuously in the same direction, current is reversed in the coil after every half rotation by a device called. What is the device? Is it the carbon brush? Second option is commutator. Third is the slip ring or the armature. It is actually the commutator, which is the split ring. This basically changes the direction of current after every half rotation. So the answer is B, commutator. Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. The condition for the phenomena of electromagnetic induction is that there must be a relative motion between. Let's see what are the four options given to us. The galvanometer and magnet, or the coil of wire and galvanometer, the coil of wire and magnet, the magnet and galvanometer. When will be electromagnetic induction taking place? When there is a relative motion between the coil of wire and magnet. So the correct answer is C. Next question is, the instrument that is used to detect electric current in the circuit is known as. Which is the instrument which detects the presence of electric current? Is it electric motor, or AC generator, or galvanometer, or none of the above? We know that galvanometer is an instrument which detects the presence of current, and ammeter is the instrument which measures the amount of current. You should remember that also. Got it? Next question is, we can induce the current in a coil by moving the coil in a magnetic field, or by changing the magnetic field around it. The third option is by changing the orientation of the coil in the magnetic field. Fourth option is all of above. Now we can induce the current in the coil by moving the coil in a magnetic field. This is what we have seen in question number 18 also, that the phenomena of electromagnetic induction, the condition for it is there should be relative motion between the coil and magnet. So the magnet is going to produce magnetic field, and by moving the coil in the magnetic field, current can be induced. So option number A is what we are going to mark. Next question is, a magnet is moved towards the coil quickly. Second option is slowly. The induced potential difference will be, options are option number A, more in first option than in second case. Second option is more in second case than in first case. Third is same in both. Fourth is can't say. Try to relate the question. A magnet is moved towards a coil quickly and slowly. So what will be the difference in the induced potential difference? Obviously, it will be more in the case of first case when the magnet is moved quickly. So we are going to mark A as the answer. It will be more in first than in the second case. Right? Next question. AC generator works on the principle of, option number A is force experienced by a conductor in magnetic field. B option is electromagnetic induction. C option is electrostatic force. And D option is force experienced by a charged particle in electric field. So the AC generator is actually working on the principle of force experienced by a conductor in magnetic field. Right? So the answer A is the correct answer. Next, Fleming's left hand and right hand rules are used in, option number A, generator and electric motor. Option number 2, electric motor and generator. Option number 3, any rule can be used for any device. Or option number 4, both are not applied for generator and motor. Now we know that Fleming's left hand rule is used to find the direction of force or motion, and that is required in electric motor, and the Fleming's right hand rule is used to determine or find the direction of induced current, and the current is induced in a generator. So it is option number B. Clear? Let's see the next question. An electric current can be produced in a closed loop. How? By connecting it to a battery but not by moving a magnet near it. Second option is by moving a magnet near it but not by connecting it to a battery. Third option is by connecting it to a battery as well as by moving a magnet near it. And fourth is neither by connecting it to a battery nor by moving near a magnet near it. Now we know that the option is the C option. We need to connect it to a battery as well as by moving a magnet near it. Clear? So C will be the right answer. Next question is, if the current values periodically from 0 to a maximum value, back to 0 and then reverses its direction, the current is simple. We know the answer is, it is alternative current. Alternating current is the current which reverses its direction, and the current which flows only in one direction, that is called the direct current. So because it is reversing its direction, it is going from 0 to maximum, then maximum back to 0, then reversing, Simply it means the answer is B, that is alternative current. Clear? Next question is, earth wire carries current, voltage, no current, heat. What does earth wire carry? Earth wire carries no current. It is the leaked current that will pass through earth wire. It does not carry any current. It is the function of live wire to carry the current. Fine. Next question. The main advantage of AC power transmission over DC power transmission over long distance is. What is the advantage of AC? Options are AC transmit without much loss of energy. Second is less insulation problem. Third is less problem of instability. Fourth is easy transformation. The answer I hope everybody knows. It is A. It is because AC transmits without much loss of energy. This is the advantage of AC power transmission over DC. Next question. Which among of these are the main characteristics of fuse element? Fuse element should have high conductivity. Yes. It should have low melting point. Again, yes. It does not burn due to oxidation. Again, yes. So the answer is D part, all of the above. Fine. Next question. Overloading is due to. What is the reason for overloading? Is it the insulation of wire is damaged? Yes, it causes overloading. If there is any fault in the appliances, it also causes overloading. If there is accidental hike in supply voltage, of course it is going to cause overloading. So the answer is all of the above factors, they cause overloading. Fine. Next question. If the key in the given arrangement is taken out, the circuit is made open, and the magnetic field lines are drawn over the horizontal plane ABCD. This is the horizontal plane. The lines are. Now if the current is passing through a straight current carrying conductor, then the lines will be, of course, concentric circles. They will not be elliptical. They will not be straight lines parallel to each other. They will be concentric circles like in first option, but here the additional information given is concentric circles near the point O, but of elliptical shapes as we go away from it. That is why it is wrong option. So the correct answer is option number A, concentric circles. Fine. Coming to the next question. In question number 31, we can see that for a current in a long straight solenoid, north pole and south pole are created at the two ends. Among the following statements, the incorrect statement is, let us see. The first option is the field lines inside the solenoid are in the form of straight lines, which indicate that the magnetic field is the same at all points inside the solenoid. This is a true statement because the magnetic field lines are parallel lines inside the coil representing a uniform magnetic field. So the first statement is true. Let us see the second one. The strong magnetic field produced inside the solenoid can be used to magnetize a piece of magnetic material like soft iron when placed inside the coil. This statement is also true because this is how electromagnets are made. Let's see the third option. The pattern of the magnetic field associated with the solenoid is different from the pattern of magnetic field around a bar magnet. Now this is a false incorrect statement because the pattern of magnetic field of a solenoid resembles, it is exactly same as that the pattern around a bar magnet. So option number C is incorrect, but let us check out the option number D also. The North Pole and South Pole exchange positions when the direction of current through the solenoid is reversed. This is also a true statement. So C is the incorrect statement and therefore we are going to mark it to be our answer. Coming to the next question. Commercial electric motors do not use. Options are an electromagnet to rotate the armature. Second option is effectively large number of turns of conducting wire in the current carrying coil. Option number C is a permanent magnet to rotate the armature. Option number D is a soft iron core on which the coil is wound. So out of these, option number C is our answer because permanent magnets are not used. It is the electromagnet which is used to run the or to rotate the armature. So option number C is what we are going to mark. Question number 33. The strength of magnetic field inside a long current carrying straight solenoid is. Options are more at the ends than at the center. B option is minimum in the middle. C option is same at all points. And D is found to increase from one end to the other. The right answer is option number C because in a solenoid the magnetic field lines are parallel to each other which show that they have a uniform magnetic field. So the magnetic field strength is same at all points inside the solenoid coil. Next question is to convert an AC generator into a DC generator, what is required? Options are split ring type commutator must be used. B option is slip rings and brushes must be used. C option is a stronger magnetic field has to be used. And D option is a rectangular wire loop has to be used. Now in order to get a direct current, we need a split ring type commutator which keeps the direction in one direction of the direction of current, right? So it keeps the current in one direction. So split ring type commutator must be used. A option is the right one. Next question. The most important safety method used for protecting home appliances from short circuiting or overloading is it earthing, is it use of fuse or use of stabilizers or use of electric meter? It is the use of fuse which can protect the home appliances if any kind of short circuiting or overloading takes place. So B will be the right answer. Next, what should be the core of an electromagnet? Options are soft iron, hard iron, rusted iron, none of the above. It is the soft iron. Soft iron should be the core because soft iron produces the maximum magnetic field strength. The strongest magnetic field is produced when the core material is soft iron. Coming to the next question. Who has stated the right hand thumb rule? Was it Oersted or Fleming or Einstein or Maxwell? It is D option Maxwell who gave his right hand thumb rule in order to find the direction of magnetic field lines around a straight current carrying conductor? So the answer is option number D. Coming to the next question. Which of the following involves electromagnetic induction? First option is a rod is charged with electricity, or an electric current produced in a magnetic field, or a magnetic field exerts a force on a current carrying wire, or the relative motion between the magnet and a coil produces electromagnetic induction. So the answer is D. It is the relative motion between a magnet and a coil that produces electromagnetic induction. Next question. Which device produces the electric current? Is it a generator, or a galvanometer, or an ammeter, or motor? The answer is A. Generator. Both the types, AC generator and DC generators, they produce electric current. Next question is, the best material to make permanent magnet is? Now, in order to make permanent magnet, we always use alloys, right? Options are aluminium, soft iron, copper, or alnico. It has to be alnico, right? This alnico is the best material to make permanent magnets. Next, the magnetic field lines always begin from. Now it is not mentioned whether it is inside the magnet or outside, so we will always assume it to be outside. Options are North Pole and end on South Pole. They begin from South Pole and end on North Pole. They start from the middle and end at North Pole. They start from the middle and end at South Pole. I think one of the simplest questions we have done today. It is from North Pole. They will originate and begin and end at South Pole. Clear? Next, the magnetic field is the strongest at. Where is the magnetic field strongest? Options are middle of the magnet, North Pole, South Pole, or both poles. We know the answer is both poles, because the magnetic field is actually determined by the closeness of magnetic field lines. So at the poles, the magnetic field lines are the closest. That is why we have the strongest magnetic field near the poles. Next question is, material of the core of a strong magnet is? Options are aluminium, copper, soft iron and steel. It is soft iron. We have seen 2-3 times above also that when soft iron core is taken, the magnetic field produced will be strongest. Fine. So the answer is B, soft iron. Coming to the next question. Magnetic lines of force inside current carrying solenoid are? Options are A, perpendicular to axis, B, along the axis and are parallel to each other, C, parallel inside the solenoid and circular at the ends, D is circular. The answer is C. Inside the solenoid coil, the magnetic lines of forces are parallel and circular at the ends. C is the right answer. Next question is, an electric generator actually acts as? Whether it acts as a source of electric charge, or a source of heat energy, or it acts as an electromagnet, or it is a converter of energy. Answer is option number D. It is a converter of energy because it converts the mechanical energy into electrical energy. Clear? Coming to question number 46. A magnetic field directed in north direction acts on an electron moving in east direction. The magnetic force on the electron will act where options are vertically upwards towards east, vertically downwards towards north. Try to relate the question. The magnetic field is directly directed in north direction and an electron is moving in east. So if the electron is moving in east, then we are going to take the current in the west direction because current flow is always taken opposite to the flow of electrons. Now you have to apply Fleming's left hand rule to find the direction of force. So according to Fleming's left hand rule, we know that we have to place the forefinger, middle finger and thumb of our left hand perpendicular to each other. Now try to relate your fingers according to the question's direction. The magnetic field is directed in north. Electron is moving to east, so you will have to take the current's direction to be west. Now place your forefinger towards north and your middle finger towards west. See where the thumb is pointing. That will be the direction of the magnetic force. And when you will see it, you will see that it is vertically downwards. So the answer is option number C, vertically downwards. Try yourself and try to do it by using Fleming's left hand rule the way I have told you. So your thumb is pointing towards vertically downward direction. If yes, good. If no, try to find out because it should point towards vertically downward direction. Clear? Next question. The direction of force on a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field is given by, just we have used it in the above question. It is the Fleming's left hand rule that we are going to use. Right hand rule, Fleming's right hand rule is used for determining the direction of induced current, not the force. Right hand thumb rule given by Maxwell, it was given by Maxwell to find the direction of magnetic field lines along the straight current carrying conductor. And left hand thumb rule, there is no as such left hand thumb rule. So the answer is option number A. Clear? Let's see the next question. I already told you the answer. The direction of induced current is given by Fleming's right hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule is for the direction of force. Right hand thumb rule, as I already told in the previous question, it is to detect the direction of magnetic field lines around a straight current carrying conductor. Left hand thumb rule, no such details given. Fine. So A is the correct answer. Next question. Switches are connected to either live wire or neutral or earth or anyone. It is always live wire. Switches are always connected in live wire. Fuse always connected in live wire. You need to relate fuse also. They are also connected to live wire. Clear? Next question is, you have a coil and a bar magnet. You can produce an electric current by moving. Let us see the option. The coil but not the magnet. The magnet but not the coil. It should be not here. Either the magnet or the coil. Neither the magnet nor the coil. So it is C option. We have seen above in the above questions that in order to produce current, there must be relative motion between the magnet and the coil. So you can move either the magnet or the coil, provided there is a relative motion, right? So answer is option number C. Coming to the next question, which of the following measures will decrease the strength of the magnetic field of a current carrying solenoid? Options are option number A, increase the temperature of the solenoid. Option number B, increase the current. Option number C is increase the number of turns of wire. Option number D is all of the above. Now we want to decrease the strength. On increasing the current and increasing the number of turns of wire, the strength will increase because the strength of magnetic field of a current carrying conductor is directly proportional to the current as well as the number of turns of wire. But it is the temperature. If we increase the temperature of the solenoid, the strength of magnetic field will decrease. So A is the right answer. Let's see the next question. What is immaterial for an electric fuse? Options are its radius, its material, its length, all of these. Now when we see the options, we should be able to relate the answer to be C. The length of the fuse wire is immaterial. Its radius, its thickness is related, and of course the material used is of utmost importance. So it is the length of the fuse wire which does not have much material impact. So the answer is C. Clear? Let's see the next question. According to International Convention of Color Coding in a Wire, live is red, perfect, neutral is black, perfect, and earth is green, perfect. So option number A seems to be perfect. Let us see the more one. Live is brown, neutral is blue, and earth is green. Next option is live is brown, neutral is green, earth is black. Live is red, neutral is yellow, and earth is blue. Now the correct option to this question is, now here actually we follow live red, neutral black, earth green. But two things. Number one, it is the international convention, internationally. Second thing, the new conventions say that live is brown, neutral is light blue, and earth is green or yellow. So, as per the international convention, the answer needs to be B. Live is brown, neutral is light blue or blue, and earth is green or it may be yellow also. Clear? Next question. The magnetic field inside a long solenoid carrying current. This we have seen above also. The question is same but the options are different. Let us see the options. The magnetic field inside a long solenoid carrying current is 0. Second option is it decreases as we move towards its end, or it increases as we move towards its ends, or is the same at all points. So we already know the answer, that inside a solenoid the magnetic field is uniform, it is same at all points. Next question is, which of the following is not associated with Fleming's right hand rule? Magnetic field is associated the forefinger, movement or force is the thumb, resistance does not exist. Induced current is the middle finger. So it is the resistance which is not associated with Fleming's right hand rule. And this is our answer. Got it? Next question is the magnetic lines of force inside a bar magnet. Options are they are from south pole to the north pole of the magnet. They are from north pole to the south pole of the magnet. They do not exist or they depend upon the area of cross section of the bar magnet. Now since we are talking about inside the bar magnet, it is option number A. The magnetic lines of forces are from south pole to north pole of the magnet. Outside it is north to south. Clear? Next question. For a current in a long straight solenoid, north and south poles are created at the two ends. Among the following statements, the incorrect statement is this question as it is we have done above. Let us see the options. The field lines inside the solenoid are in the form of straight lines which indicate that the magnetic field is same at all the points in a solenoid. It is a correct statement. True. Second statement is the strong magnetic field produced inside the solenoid can be used to magnetize a piece of magnetic material when soft iron is placed inside the coil. Once again, true statement, electromagnets. Third is the pattern of magnetic field associated with the solenoid is different from the pattern of magnetic field around a bar magnet. Now this was the incorrect statement because we know that the pattern of magnetic field of a bar magnet and solenoid are exactly same. Next option is the north and south pole exchange positions when the direction of current through the solenoid is reversed. This is also true. So the right answer is option number C. Got it? Next question is according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. First option is the direction of induced current is such that it opposes the cause producing it. Second option is the magnitude of induced EMF produced in a coil is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. Third option is the direction of induced EMF is such that it opposes. None of the above. So out of these, B option is the correct one. According to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, the magnitude of induced EMF produced in a coil is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. Right? Coming to the next question. The magnetic lines of forces inside a bar magnet. Once again, a repeated question. When we are talking about inside a bar magnet, they are from south pole to the north pole of the magnet. Outside, they are north to south, but here they are inside. So the answer is from south pole to north pole, option number A. Let's see the next question. Magnetic flux can produce EMF. Two statements A and B are given to us. The first statement is magnetic flux can produce EMF. Second statement is Faraday established induced EMF experimentally. Let us see the question. question options are both A and B are correct, both A and B are false. Next option is A is true but B is false. Last option is A is false but B is true. So let us read the statements again. Magnetic flux can produce EMF. This is a correct statement. Let's see the second one. Faraday established induced EMF experimentally. Again, this is a correct option, correct statement. So, we will mark option number A to be our answer, that both the statements A and B are correct. Clear? Let's see the next and the last question of this chapter. Match the following columns. In column number 1, we are given A, B and C. A is electric motor, B is generator, C is neon tester. In column number 2, we are given 1, 2 and 3. First option is indicate the presence of electricity. Second option is electrical energy into mechanical energy. Third is mechanical energy into electrical energy. Now try to relate please. Electric motor. What we are going to associate with electric motor? Does electric motor indicate the presence of electricity? No. Does electric motor convert electrical energy into mechanical energy? Yes. When we switch on the current, then electric motor converts this electrical energy into mechanical energy and starts rotating. So A is to be just matched with second option. Coming to the B part, generator. Does generator indicate the presence of electricity? No. Generator, does it convert mechanical into electrical energy? Of course, yes. Because this is what generator does. So option number B of column number 1 will be matched with third option of column number 2, and the option number C of column first, that is neon tester, this is going to match with the first option of column number 2, that is it is used to indicate the presence of electricity. So let us see. A is matched with 2, A is matched with 2, A is matched with 2. So B and D are directly no. You have to strike it off. Let's see first. The B option is marked with 3. So the B option is marked with 3. This is the right option. Now we will strike off C. Counter check it. C option will be marked with 1. C is marked with 1. So this is our option number A, which is the right answer to question number 61. And this is all about your magnetic effects of current. So happy news, the chapter is over. More happy news, I think most of the questions were very direct, and almost all of you, if you have prepared, if you have learnt, then you should be happy about the way questions are being asked, because most of the students who have prepared well must have answered almost all the questions correctly, except one or two. I think they all should be done correctly. Rest, it all depends on your preparation. And those, all my lovely dear students who are not in a habit of studying, who are not in a habit of learning, so guys, what to do with you people now? How can I make you learn? Just think of a possible reason and a way how and why you should study. Because whenever you are going to start studying, it is based on your own logics, reasonings, need and thought process. If you are not studying even today, I think it's really wrong, because we are almost done with the whole syllabus. We have completed all the chapters except one, I suppose. So even today you are not actually learning. I think it's high time, and now at least you are not going to learn when somebody else is going to say to you, because that somebody else are your parents and your teachers like me. And I think, if I'm not wrong, we have been telling this to you again and again and again and again so many times. So when exactly that desperateness, that willingness is going to come into you, I'm not so sure, but I really wish that it comes soon, so that even if it comes late, you are able to compensate. This is what I can say about it. Rest, you are all grown ups, you are not kids anymore. You know what is right and what is wrong for you. So it's better that start learning. Always my just direct and the same statement, it's never too late to start, provided you are committed, provided you are doing it full heartedly, wholeheartedly, not half heartedly, not because somebody has given you any lectures or somebody has scolded you to just study and you are going into the room and opening the books in anger, just for the sake of the fear that you will be scolded if you are not studying. If that is the case, trust me, whatever you are doing, you are wasting your time. I'll not say you are wasting your efforts, because I don't think you will be making any efforts, because it is unwilling effort. So that is just wastage of time, and it's better you don't do it. Clear? Rest, once again, all depends on you. So this is all about magnetic effects of electric current. Wherever you have seen or you have found any question which was a bit different, or the answer was different than what you thought, what you gave, please make sure that revise these topics. And I hope that you would have written all the problems and all the different questions. Keep revising them. After every 1 week or 10 days, devote 10 minutes in order to revise all such questions. I'm not showing off all the chapters, no. Just on a daily or alternative basis, you can just take 5 minutes going through only one chapter notes. Next day, next chapter, next day, next chapter. This is how after 10-15 days you will be able to come back to the first chapter. This is how you will retain and you will never forget. Clear? So keep practicing, keep learning the things. The questions we have already seen, the questions we have already related. So I think you must be having a fair idea now as to what exactly is to be considered more important and where exactly you need to put in more efforts. Right, students? So time to end the class, I suppose. Enough of lectures. So I'm ending up the class now. We'll meet in the next class with the next topic, new chapter, and that will be the last chapter of your physics, sources of energy. Clear? So till then, take care of yourself and try to work hard. Have a great time. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.